Writing a multi-step equation for a real-world situation. Chow takes classes at both Westside Community College and Pinewood Community College. At Westside, class fees are $98 per credit hour, and at Pinewood, class fees are $115 per credit hour. Chow is taking a combined total of 13 credit hours at the two schools. Suppose that he is taking W credit hours at Westside. Write an expression for the combined dollar amount he paid for his class fees. So notice in particular that this asks us to write an expression. It never says find the amount, the total dollar amount he paid, or solve something. We're just going to write an expression. So our final answer is going to have this variable W in it. We're just going to want to make sure we simplify it as much as possible. Okay, so let's go back here. So Westside class fees are $98 per credit hour. At Pinewood, class fees are $115 per credit hour, and he's taking a total of 13 credit hours at the two schools. Okay, so there's different ways that you could set this up to kind of organize the information, but I like tables, which if you've watched many videos for homework 4 or 5, you probably will notice that. So I'm going to create a table of 2 rows, and I'm kind of just making this up as I go. Westside, maybe I'll just do WCC. So we've got Pinewood and Westside. Oops. And they gave us two bits of information to use. One is the number of, or how much money per credit hour, and the other is the amount of credits. And notice they give us a total amount of credits. So let me add one more row, total, and this is often going to be helpful to have that third row. Kind of just depends on the problem and what they tell you. Okay, so let's do the first column. Let's let that be number of credit hours. So I'm going to try and abbreviate here. And all we know is that that's going to be 13. Now, one other kind of guidance, I guess, they gave us is to let W be the number of credit hours at Westside. So we can go ahead and put W in here, but let's come back to this box in just a little bit. Okay, so then the other piece of information is the like money, dollars per credit, or per credit hour. I'll just put per hour. And so we know it's $98 at Pinewood. Wait, no, I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. At Westside, it's $98, so 98 should go down here, and then Pinewood is 115. So then this last column would be like the overall dollar amount. So this this little box right here should be how much overall is he paying to Pinewood, like what's his tuition to Pinewood, and then what's his tuition to Westside. So this would be like total dollars that he's paying, but just at each school or each kind of for each row. So let's go back to this this box, because we actually don't know anything for this total column back over there. So the only thing we haven't filled in is this box right here that we need. And so this is often kind of the crux of the problem for a lot of students. So we have the total, and we know that W of those hours, so imagine W is 3, then that means he must be taking 10 hours at Pinewood, right? Because it'd be 13 minus 3. If he was taking 4 credit hours, then that would leave 9 at Pinewood. If he was taking 6 credit hours, that would leave 7 at Pinewood. So what we're doing is we're taking our total and subtracting the number of credit hours at Westwood, right, the W. And so this will come up in a lot of word problems where you have this total minus your variable. Okay, and then so, by the way, I didn't mention this little box that's empty. So it doesn't make sense to talk about like the kind of total dollars per hour. This would be kind of an average, but I don't think we're going to need it. Okay, so we then want to write down an expression for the combined total dollar amount he paid for class fees. Well, the total amount that he's paying just to Pinewood would be just multiply number of credit hours times $115 per credit hour. So I'm going to write that as 115 parentheses 13 minus W. And then for Westwood, it would be $98 times the number of credit hours at Westwood, so 98W. And we don't have any information about the total amount, combined dollar amount. They didn't tell us that. So the best we can do is just add these together for like the total. So 115 parentheses 13 minus W, and then plus 98W. And that's actually what they want. They want this expression. Now we can simplify it a little bit, so maybe let's go ahead and do that over here, or actually down here. Let's see. So the 115, I'm going to go ahead and distribute. I should have my calculator out already. 115 times 13. I'll just use the real one in real life. So I get 1,495. And then minus 115W plus 98W. So then I can combine those like terms. So the negative 115W plus the 98W gives me negative 17W. So my final answer is going to be 1,495 minus 17W. Oh, sugar. Okay. All right. And so again, remember, you're not solving anything here because they didn't give us enough information. We don't know what to set this equal to. This is just practicing getting an expression for something kind of complicated. So let's do one more. And I might try doing this one without a table. You can decide if you think it's worth it or not. Kayla has a job transporting soft drinks by truck. Her truck is filled with cans that weigh 14 ounces each and bottles that weigh 70 ounces each. There's a combined total of 890 cans and bottles in her truck. Let X be the number of 14-ounce cans in her truck. Write an expression for the combined total weight in ounces of the cans and bottles in her truck. Okay, so you might, I should have said this before with the other problem, you might pause the video and reread this. So we're trying to find an expression that is the weight of the cans plus the weight of the bottles. And I just realized that you guys may not be able to see all of this problem in the video. So now hopefully you can see all of that, because that 70 is actually pretty important. Okay, so we know X is going to be the number of cans. So X equals number of cans. And we know that each can weighs 14 ounces. That's for one. So if we multiply 14 times X, that would be the total weight just of the cans. Okay. So now we also know that there's a total of 890 cans plus bottles. So similar to the last problem, if I take the number of cans away from 890, that leaves me with the number of bottles. So if I do 890 minus X, 890 minus the number of cans, that's the number of bottles. And these are big bottles, it looks like, because they weigh 70 ounces each. So to get the total weight of the bottles, I need to multiply 70 times the 890 minus X. So weight of one bottle times the number of bottles that we have. And this will give us the total weight of bottles. Okay, so now to get an expression for the combined total weight, we need to add these together. 14x plus 70 parentheses 890 minus x. And honestly, I'm not sure. You might be able to just type it in like this and Alex will accept it. Sometimes they're not picky about things being simplified, but it's a good idea to practice simplifying it. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute the 70 and combine like terms to get this as simple as possible. Okay, so we'll have 14x, write that down first, plus 70 times 890. 70 times 890 is 62,300. 62,300. And then minus 70x. And so we can now combine the 14x and the minus 70x. It doesn't matter kind of what order you write this in. If you put the x term first, or that 62,300 first. But it looks like we're going to have a negative 56x. So I'll just put it first, negative 56x plus 62,300. And don't let that negative freak you out. Basically, this 62,300, it's kind of like a maximum weight. So based on kind of how much the truck can hold total. So our X will just be, you know, it could be something like, so it's number of cans. So it would have to be less than 890 is basically what it is, because that's the total amount that's in the truck. And so if we plugged in an X that was bigger than 890, this would indeed become a negative number and it wouldn't make any sense anymore. But as long as we don't, like, let's say they told us in like part B, suppose X is 25, then we could multiply the negative 56 times 25 and add 62,300 and get 60,900 ounces. Anyway, but they didn't tell us that, so this is our final answer.